If we're only looking for a mere reflection of ourselves, some modern researchers whose work has been buried or suppressed, I think we're getting very close to rediscovering some of the things that our ancient ancestors were up to. There are people who've been working on these things for decades now, basically in secret.
Randall Carlson's ideas about sacred geometry in relation to ancient megalithic structures are truly interesting. He delves deep into the idea that ancient civilizations had a profound understanding of geometric principles and deliberately incorporated these into their monuments. It's a mix of mathematics and archaeology. Let's start with the basics of sacred geometry. This concept revolves around using key geometric shapes like circles, squares, triangles, and hexagons believed to have mystical significance. Think about a circle representing unity or infinity, and a square symbolizing stability. It's about finding deeper meaning in these fundamental shapes.
In the golden section, or the divine proportion, we're looking for that one magic point where the ratio of the small section is to the large section exactly as the large section is to the whole line.
Then there's the golden ratio, phi. This specific ratio pops up everywhere in nature and art, and it's almost like a mathematical fingerprint of the universe. Carlson points out that many megalithic structures seem to follow this golden ratio in their design, which is pretty mind-blowing if you think about it. And we can't forget the Fibonacci sequence, that series where each number is the sum of the two before it. This sequence is found in the natural world, like in the spirals of seashells and even galaxies. Carlson suggests that this pattern of growth and expansion is reflected in the design of ancient structures. Fractals are another piece of the puzzle. These are patterns that repeat at different scales and are found in natural phenomena like coastlines and trees. The idea that ancient builders used fractals in their structures implies a deep understanding of the universe's interconnectedness.
When you actually have that mindset that you're creating something that is unique and something that resonates with higher principles.
Carlson also talks about mandalas and labyrinths. Mandalas, with their intricate geometric patterns, are used in Hinduism and Buddhism to represent the cosmos. Labyrinths have been used in various cultures for spiritual and meditative purposes. According to Carlson, places like the Nazca lines in Peru might have mandala-like designs intended for ritual use. Then there's the significance of sacred numbers like 3, 7, and 12, which have symbolic meanings in many traditions. He argues that these numbers were intentionally used in the construction of megalithic sites, reflecting the spiritual beliefs of those who built them. One of the most intriguing aspects of sacred geometry is the alignment with celestial bodies and events. Carlson contends that these ancient structures were not just randomly placed, they were aligned with astronomical phenomena like solstices, equinoxes, and the movements of stars and planets, forming a kind of cosmic geometry.
Geometry was so intrinsic to many systems, both spiritual systems and meditation systems, as well as art and architecture and things like that.
Randall Carlson's theories about how ancient civilizations went about quarrying and transporting massive stones are pretty intriguing. He delves into a range of methods that really make you appreciate the ingenuity of these ancient builders. Let's chat about some of these techniques. First off, Carlson talks about the use of stone hammers and chisels. Imagine ancient craftsmen shaping and extracting stones from quarries using tools made from hard stones like granite or diorite. It's a labor-intensive process, but it shows a deep understanding of the materials they were working with. Then there's the whole idea of splitting large stones from bedrock using wedges. Wooden wedges might have been driven into cracks in the rock and then soaked with water. As the wood swelled, it would have exerted force on the rock, causing it to split. It's quite clever when you think about it, using nature's own properties to get the job done. Drilling techniques are another fascinating part of Carlson's theories. He suggests that ancient builders might have used tubular drills with abrasive sand and water to bore holes in tough stones like granite. The level of precision this would require is just astounding. When it comes to extracting bigger blocks, Carlson proposes methods like cave mining or creating underground chambers within the quarry rock. This way, large stone blocks could be accessed and removed while still intact.
They're lifting these blocks. Again and again it appears in ancient Egyptian traditions. The notion that we could lift huge blocks with sound seems absurd to archaeologists, and yet it's there in the traditions of the Egyptologists.
Transporting these massive stones is another hurdle altogether. Carlson suggests wooden sledges as one of the methods. These sledges would help distribute the stone's weight over a larger area, making it easier to move. And imagine using water or wet sand as a lubricant beneath these sledges. It would create a slippery surface, allowing for easier movement of these huge stones. Then there are the cylindrical wooden rollers. By placing these under the stone, builders could roll the stone forward incrementally. It would have been a continuous process, needing a steady supply of rollers. Carlson even touches on the possibility of counterweight systems being used to lift and move these stones vertically. Think about using sandbags or other stones as counterweights on one side of a fulcrum to lift the stone onto sledges or platforms. And of course, there's the topic of ramps. The idea of building spiral or zigzagging ramps to move stones to higher levels at construction sites is another debated method. It would have allowed a gradual elevation of these massive stones to where they were needed. It's fascinating to consider all these methods. They certainly paint a picture of ancient civilizations being far more advanced and innovative in their construction techniques than we often give them credit for.
Resonance frequencies. Everything vibrates. Everything vibrates at a frequency, and if you know that frequency, you can control things. And it's all based upon the ancient numbers.
Now, Randall Carlson's take on the precision cutting and stone joinery in ancient megalithic structures is really something to marvel at. He really drives home just how skilled these ancient builders must have been. Let's talk about some of the details he highlights. Take the Great Pyramid of Giza, for instance. Carlson often points out the incredible precision in its construction. The outer casing stones, made of Tura limestone, were fitted together with such accuracy that the joints between them were only a few millimeters wide. Imagine how smooth and shiny that surface would have been, gleaming in the sunlight. It's a testament to the incredible craftsmanship of the builders. Now, achieving this kind of precision in cutting stones is no small feat, especially considering the tools available at the time. Carlson suggests that the ancient builders likely used copper chisels for the initial grooves and diorite pounding stones for the finer finishing. This combination allowed for the precise shaping of the stones. And then there's the grinding technique, using abrasive materials like sand and water with these tools to achieve the smoothness and precision of those cut surfaces. It's like ancient craftsmanship meeting an almost modern engineering precision. Of course, some alternative theorists, including Carlson, speculate about more advanced or lost technologies like focused sunlight or sound vibrations. But these ideas are pretty controversial and not widely accepted in mainstream archaeology. When it comes to stone joinery, Carlson highlights techniques like dovetailing, seen in the construction of megalithic walls. This technique, where wedge-shaped projections and grooves are carved into stone blocks, creates a stable and secure connection. It's seen in ancient Inca architecture and showcases advanced masonry skills. Then there's the use of interlocking blocks. In some structures, the stones are designed to interlock with neighboring ones, ensuring stability and integrity. This kind of precision in stone cutting and shaping is crucial for achieving seamless connections. Carlson also talks about dry stone construction, like what you see in Machu Picchu. This method assembles stones without mortar or cement, relying instead on careful selection and placement of stones. It's a clear indicator of the craftsmanship and planning that went into these ancient structures. And let's not forget about the complex masonry patterns. The intricate patterns, like herringbone or alternating stone courses, not only add structural stability but also aesthetic beauty to these megalithic constructions.
My contention is what we're really seeing 7, 8, 9,000 years ago is not the origins of civilization, but the rebooting of civilization.
Moving on again, Randall Carlson's theory about civilizations existing during the last ice age is something straight out of a fascinating blend of archaeology and mythology. It's pretty interesting how he steps away from mainstream archaeological thought. He suggests that back in the Pleistocene epoch, which wrapped up around 11,700 years ago, there were advanced civilizations. It's intriguing because he believes these societies were more than just surviving the harsh ice age. They were actually thriving and developing complex technologies and knowledge systems. Carlson's idea that these ancient civilizations had advanced architectural, astronomical, and mathematical knowledge really makes you think. It's like he's saying they were capable of constructing intricate structures and had a deep understanding of celestial movements, something we usually don't attribute to societies from that time. When it comes to evidence, he points to the megalithic structures scattered across the globe. Think about the pyramids of Egypt, Stonehenge in England, or the megalithic temples of Malta. According to him, the sheer scale, precision, and architectural complexity of these structures hint at a level of skill and knowledge that wouldn't have been possible without some advanced understanding. Carlson also believes that fragments of knowledge from these Ice Age civilizations have been passed down symbolically through myths, legends, and even architectural practices. It's a fascinating idea that these stories we've grown up with might actually contain hidden truths about sophisticated societies lost to history.
You're talking about a very energetic intertidal zone, and anything that's there, short of large megalithic blocks, is going to be utterly obliterated by the time the process is through.
Randall Carlson really has a way of bringing a whole new perspective to how we look at ancient megalithic structures. He dives into how the ancient builders incorporated geometric precision and carefully selected specific stone types, suggesting they had a pretty advanced understanding of geometry and geology. It's pretty fascinating stuff, and it's not just about geometry on the ground. Carlson points out that these structures often align with astronomical events like solstices and equinoxes. Take Stonehenge or the Great Pyramids, for example. Their orientation with celestial bodies suggests that the builders of these megaliths had a deep connection with the cosmos. It's like they were linking heaven and earth through their constructions. Then there's the whole aspect of selecting different types of stones. It wasn't just about what was available, it was about understanding the properties of each stone. For the parts of structures that needed to bear more weight, they'd choose something dense and durable like granite. But for parts that were more decorative or didn't need to support as much weight, they might use softer stones like limestone or sandstone. It shows they had a good grasp of geology and were thoughtful about the longevity and durability of their creations. The aesthetic aspect was also key. The ancient builders considered the color, texture, and patterns of the stones. The way different types of stones contrasted with each other could really enhance the visual and artistic appeal of these structures. In essence, Carlson's theories paint a picture of ancient builders as not just skilled laborers, but as sophisticated architects and engineers. They were creating these incredible structures with a deep understanding of geometry, astronomy, and geology. And they were doing it with an eye for beauty as well. It's a perspective that adds a whole new layer of awe to these ancient wonders.